everyone, welcome to my Meteor Studio, and we're here to talk about this. Immortal Wings. This is issue 1. Very rare in my country. Hopefully not for long. And as most of you know, I am the co-creator and writer of the series, and my good friend Rod Espinosa is the artist. And it is brought to you by Antarctic Press. So what I'm going to do today is to talk about the first issue of Immortal Wings in a sort of commentary, and it should be fun. Now, but before I begin, as these things go, I will be, revealing a lot of spoilers. So if you haven't read the first issue, then it might be a good idea not to watch this video yet, if you care about that stuff at all. If not, let's go through this. Let's see. I didn't write any notes or anything, or I'm doing this on the fly, really. And let's see what I remember from the production of this comic, because Rod and I actually finished this first issue way back in maybe late 2014 or early 2015, and it's only now being released to the world after we finished the succeeding issues, and we fell into the queue of material that Antarctic Press was going to release. First thing I'll talk about is the cover. Now, I actually do not have an image of or a digital image of the final cover. The thing that surprised me, at least, was the logo itself, and I like it. I like the logo. It has it's a nice font. It's sort of westerny, but also a bit futuristic, which speaks a lot about the a lot about the comic itself. And it has this cute little wing that comes out of the word wings, so I do like that. That's a nice touch. And but before that, let's get over to the covers that I did actually encounter during the production of the comic. There we go. So there I am. So this is the cover that, at least to my knowledge, ended up in Antarctic Press, and yeah, it's a very Western kind of logo, and I was fine with this, but I do like the final logo more, and the cover pretty much says a lot about the comic itself. There's a dragon, and there's this gunslinger, there's this oddly placed rabbit, and a militaristic guy, and this looks like a big starship, and a western scene at the bottom. So it speaks a lot about the comic, or the series in general. It's a nice cover. But when I first gave my script over to Rod Espinosa, and he loved it, obviously, but he found the story to be very 80s awesome. You know what I mean? Very 80s awesome, and he said, "Oh, we should come up with a title that reflects that, something like to the flavor of Brave Star or the Thundercats and stuff like that." So although this was my Immortal Wings was my original title, and but Rod gave a very good argument about it, so I tried to come up with a new title, and let's see if I can bring it up here. I just lost one of my studio lights, but anyway, here it is, Star Ronin and the Mad Bad Cosmic Frontier. Yeah, it says a lot about the series as well. It says a lot more than maybe Immortal Wings, but this is my attempt to get that 80s awesome cartoon kind of feel, Star Ronin and the Mad Bad Cosmic Frontier. And so we're back to the original cover that we sent to Antarctic Press, and as I said, I was fine with this one. It's a nice cover and all. Introductory narration. So there it is, like balance. It is the basis of the existing, a dance between the infinite and the oblivion. Most of all that exists seeks only to maintain that balance, because within the cosmos are entities that unbalance it. Living entities that blaze their own trail, leaving the universe behind them, struggling to restore balance in their wake. Living entities like this guy, have that oomph to say like, all right, this is where we're starting, this is where we're beginning, this is where the action, this is where the fun begins, And so we have, the title panel, Immortal Wings, Chapter 1, A Fistful of Dirt. So it's kind of a reference to A Fistful of Dollars. Now, the reason I wrote Immortal Wings to begin with is because I'm a big fan of spaghetti westerns and samurai movies, and I like them. I kind of wanted to marry the two genres, and they're both pretty interrelated anyway. So hence we came up with Immortal Wings, and true to a spaghetti western tropes, we have the barroom brawl, because one guy felt that he was being cheated at in cards, and of course the bartender would ring a shot out and say, "Hey, take your fight outside." So it's very typical spaghetti western. And of course, this is a gorgeous panel. Rod Espinosa did a fantastic job with this. Really, there's so much motion and there's so much tension, and or not motion, but so the stillness. But her her poncho flapping around in the breeze, and her braided hair. It's just a gorgeous panel. I'm a really big fan of it. He did a fantastic job. It really set the mood. So a lot of tension. And then our main character, I actually wrote her on the script as the woman with no name, which of course is a reference to Clint Eastwood's old spaghetti western movies. And that name actually persisted all the way to the end of the series. The woman with no name was always the woman with no name. It was important for me as well that the morality of the character is established early on. So here we see that during the quick draw, our main character actually disarms her opponent instead of shooting the opponent himself. And here we see that she comes quite close to killing him, and she makes it quite clear that had I missed your gun, had I not disarmed you, make no mistake, I would have killed you, because that's what it takes to survive here in this mad cosmic frontier. But since there was no longer a need to kill him, she didn't. It's a complicated kind of morality, but that's what I wanted to establish with the main character at this point. And we meet our co-protagonist, Grafid Yantantethera. Now, Yantantethera is a name I encountered in a video game, actually. One of the monsters in some video game, I can't remember. And the name struck me enough that I looked it up online. And it turns out it's a method, or a method of somewhere in the UK. I'm not sure whether it's Welsh or English or Scottish or Irish or something. It's a method of counting sheep, and I got a real kick out of the name, and I thought I'd name a character later on Yantantethera, and it finally fell here in Immortal Wings upon Gruff here. Now Gruff is a dragon, obviously, and let me put the pointer over here. Yeah. And what he is he's a dragon that had decided to leave his home planet because he could. He wanted to see what else was out there in the universe. But before he could do that, he already has some magical powers. And that includes being able to teleport, but his teleportation ability is restricted to places that he knows where they are exactly, if you get my drift. But when it comes to the entire universe, that's he recognizes that it's beyond his depth, and so he has these cybernetic implants and this whole the galactic navigational computer to help him calculate coordinates on where to teleport. He opens up this magic portal and then they step through. That's their method of teleportation in this comic. And I also added that he's a more for the irony that he likes to smoke cigars. But we'll get to that later on. But that cigar will be part of a really small running gag. But anyway, over here on the lower right of this page, going back to Gruff first. I see him as a very educated man, a very wise kind of character, and very eloquent as well. And he is, in a sense, an antithesis to his co-protagonist, the woman with no name. And here they meet their antagonist in this issue, Katashi. He is a representative, of course, of the Galactic Shogunate, which is the overall government of the galaxy. And the Shogunate, of course, serves the Galactic Emperor. But I kind of didn't want to use the word empire, because that, of course, would be reminding people of another sci-fi series. So I came up with Shogunate. Now, on the lower right, these two panels establish another thing about our main character. I had hoped it would come across as clear as possible, but there she is, looking out at a blazing sunset, and she came up with the name Blaze when she was asked, what is your name? This is in reference to old Akira Kurosawa samurai movies, where I think it was Sanjuro and Yojimbo, where the main character would, whenever his name was asked, would look out of the window and see something, and that would be his name for that episode in the series. So if he saw like a field of say barley, he would say his name was Barley Swordsman, something like that. But here, yeah, she sees a blazing sunset and she says, "My name is Blaze." And it's a running thing throughout the series as well, that she'll come up with a new name. So here, Katashi is giving our main character their assignment, and it's to eliminate this potential threat to the rule of the shogunate over the galaxy. And he did not want the shogunate's hand involved, in a sense, so they would hire a bounty hunter to do it. And here we introduce another co-protagonist, Cassandra, who is a computer that is linked to Blaze's ARM console, and also linked to Gruff's cybernetic implants. So she's the computer that actually calculates all the coordinates that Gruff needs to open magic portals and do their teleportation. And of course, our antagonists have other things in mind. I have to adjust my mic a bit. That perhaps that they may have an ulterior motive. And then we move on over to this asteroid out in the middle of nowhere. I requested in the script that there be, if you look at the asteroid, there would be this faint hint of an atmosphere around it. So there's just enough gravity on this asteroid to maintain an atmosphere. And this is where we get the name of the title, the Fistful of Dirt, where our new co-protagonist, Mortimer the Rabbit, is having a tough time. You know, he's it's another Western trope where there's this, or not just Western, even I think even in samurai movies, where there's this farmer who's going through such a tough time, and this character represents the struggle of the everyday man, and he's working hard. You know, he's trying to make a living, but it's just not working out, and that's what Mortimer is here to do, and apparently his late father had passed on, and he's trying his best to terraform the land that his father had bought, make it a lucrative farm, but it just wasn't working out. And at the bottom of the page, you'll see that we have these 1950s gangster kind of alien looking creatures. And this is probably our only miscommunication, the only miscommunication between me and Rod. I had written what I had labeled as bandits, the bandits that come along like in the Japanese village and terrorize them, like in Seven Samurai. And when I was thinking of them, when I was writing them, I was actually thinking of a more Yosemite Sam kind of character, very cartoony, but I can't even do it. But anyway, but when Rod was reading the script, what was coming to his mind were these 1950s kind of gangster, like with the transatlantic accent. And I thought actually it was a good idea. I went along with it. This was a bit of a brilliant thing that Rod came up with. I was quite happy with it. Then magic portal opens, and out screams Gruff with blades on top, and they announce their arrival and say, "We're looking for this fearsome being named Mortimer. And do any of you know who he is?" And we have a nice little comedic moment. Oh, why? That would be me. And then Gruff and Blades would look at each other, puzzlingly. "You're the threat to the Emperor?" "Me?" And then laughter, lots of comedy moments, which I felt it was a right time within the story to have this break in the seriousness. Boom, let's have some comedy. Because you can't always have, at least when it comes to my writing, I can't always maintain that level of seriousness. I do need like breaks. I can't explain it. It's just So now they're starting to realize that things aren't as they seem, and all of a sudden there's 3 battleships from the shogunate appear, and the 3 battleships were named the Hikaru, the Isamu, and the Alto, which is in reference to the Macross series, which I'm a huge fan of. Then they realize, they can't leave this little rabbit alone. He's going to be destroyed. So they bring him along with them. This is an original design by Rod Espinosa, and it's fantastic. He showed me early designs of the battleships, and I was just blown away. And then this is the first panel that he showed me that actually showed the battleships in their full glory. And it's a full page panel at that, and it just looks fantastic. I didn't really describe the battleships that much in the script. Just go, Imperial battleships, that's it. And that's what he came up with, and they look gorgeous. Well done. And so we reveal that the bounty hunter was actually hired just to find the reveal the precise location of the threat, and they will just blow that asteroid to smithereens. This hints that they had already known that the threat was on an asteroid, but I'm not sure if that came across as much as I would have liked. It might have been my own fault though in my writing, but I guess it's a fairly unnecessary detail. But they found him. Now they'll just blow everything up, and who cares about whatever collateral damage they might have caused. Oh, and here's a nice thing, because we reveal that there is a way that Gruff, Blaze, and the rabbit can survive in space. I'm semi-picky when it comes to the technobabble in sci-fi. Like, I need to know how things work. And so here, Mortimer's like, we're flying on a dragon in outer space, and we don't have any life support on, and just attribute it all to magic. But there's more than that. Rod and I actually talked about this. If you look at the main characters, they have this like halo or this field that surrounds them, and that's the magical field that maintains their life support while they're in space. I'm suddenly not in front of my pop filter. Right. So there they are. They're surviving in space, and we have another one panel of comedic relief. Yeah, that's what these characters, these alien gangster characters, are for. So we have the nice chase scene, big action sequence. They escaped through a magic portal that was opened randomly. They didn't know where they were going to end up. And what actually happens here is that the blast hits a nearby asteroid while they were passing through a magic portal behind it. So when the blast was all said and done, what the Imperial Shogunate realized was that, or thought at least, was that they had destroyed their targets without knowing that they had actually escaped into a magic portal. So here we are on some unknown desert planet, and we find out that our main character Blaze has been quite severely injured, fatally injured actually. And Gruff tells the rabbit to bring her closer, quickly, in fact. And all of a sudden her wounds are gone, and this reveals pretty much the titular ability of the dragon, Immortal Wings, right? So he's actually an immortal dragon, and his immortality kind of feeds off into the beings that surround him. So the dragon actually has a quick healing ability. If he's injured, he heals quite quickly, and the same happened to Blaze in this case. And we have a teeny tiny comedic moment again. So so I was thinking that there should be a moment, a nice quiet moment for a little bit of character development, or not development, but maybe character revelation, where Blaze is just playing her flute. Now, when I thought of the scene, I was thinking she just needed to be playing some sort of musical instrument. I originally thought that it should be a guitar or a banjo or a mandolin or something, and I thought I'd use a flute. Now the flute it won't come off at all here, but it's actually in reference to Adventure Time, where Finn the human would have a flute, and she is playing it. It's kind of her creative outlet to display her emotions. And Gruff here, he's saying, "Okay, leave her alone, little bunny." And then the bunny's all, "Why? That music, it sounds so sad." And then Gruff lays back down and says this nice line, "Every cowboy sings a sad, sad song." So if you're as old as I am, you would know that's actually a reference to to, oh gosh, what was it? Warrant or Poison? One of those, old rock bands or metal bands. So here I wanted to show a contrast of the philosophies of these two main characters. One is very dark and brooding and had gone through a pretty tough time in her life. I play what my life makes me feel, and I've had a life full of mistakes and pain. And then she continues saying, whatever, life is ugly and horrible, and it takes someone ugly and horrible to stay alive in it. And the rabbit, on the other hand, is very light and bubbly, even though he was going through a tough time as well. Oh, lady, don't let the past keep you from living in the moment. He has this little line, oh, you should have thrown some confetti up. Nothing drives a point home like throwing some confetti. That leaves Blaze in stunned silence. But for some reason, it does spur her to her next agenda, which is to get some answers and stuff. And so they end up attacking their former attackers. And Gruff lets out a dragon blast. They breach the hull. They get in. That's a typical action sequence, really. We show Blaze's prowess in disarming her opponents. But here, this one guy did have a sword of his own. And I wanted this moment to be like in a typical samurai movie where they'd have this one last charge against each other with their swords drawn. And everything happens so blindingly fast that you don't know who won until one guy finally slumps to the ground and loses. So that's what I wanted portrayed here in this sequence. And again, she gets to her target quite quickly. In fact, that shows just how good they are as a team. So she declares that the bunny is now one of them, and if the shogunate insists that they still go after him, poof, and throw some confetti up. This was actually a stolen gag from Callus Comics, one of my the comic strip that I do over at calluscomics.com. And I thought it would have been fitting, it would have been cute to put this the same gag in this particular moment to lighten up the mood again. Because that's the thing about my comics, I think. I don't want it to get too dark or too serious. I always have to have that balancing moment. I noticed the same thing in Adventure Time, where things can get really, demonic and dark, and then all of a sudden, oh wait, I'm a vegetarian or something like that. They bring quite brilliantly a sudden lighthearted moment in a situation that should be really dark and dire. And that's sort of what I try to do as well in my writing. So here the issue ends, and this first issue was actually our entire pitch to Antarctic Press and to other small press publishing firms, and I did not know whether or not I would get the chance to write succeeding issues. So kind of like the first Star Wars movie, I wanted it to have an ending that is semi-satisfactory. Like if the series ended right there, everyone would more or less be fine. But it did still hint that there could be more. But if there weren't, it's fine. So that's the kind of ending I wanted for the first issue, because in the first place, I did not know whether I'd have the chance to continue. So here, everything rounds off quite nicely, and that would be the end of the issue. Right, so that's it, I guess, for issue 1 of Immortal Wings. I'll be doing a commentary for the succeeding issues as well. That's all for now, and I hope you had a good time. I have a lot of editing to do. I had a lot of technical glitches in this recording, but thank you for joining me, and I'll see you again another time for the succeeding issues of Immortal Wings. Once again, Immortal Wings is by myself, Carlo Jose San Juan, and Rod Espinosa. I am the writer, and Rod Espinosa is the artist, and it was brought to you by Antarctic Press, which you can find online at antarctic-press.com. Right, so have a good day, everyone, and I'll see you next time.